Across the vast landscapes of North America, from the dense forests of the east to the windswept plains of the west, countless generations of Native Americans lived in harmony with the land and its relentless insects. While modern campers reach for bug spray, tents, and air-conditioned shelters, these communities faced a nightly swarm of mosquitoes so thick it could drive anyone insane. But survival wasn't just about enduring discomfort, it was about understanding nature, reading the land, and turning what many would see as enemies into allies. Smoke, mud, plants, animal fats, and even dragonflies, bats, and birds played a role in an intricate system of protection perfected over centuries. This is a story of ingenuity, patience, and wisdom. A story of people who didn't fight nature, they worked with it. And through that knowledge, they slept peacefully outdoors while others would be tormented awake. Tonight, we step into their world. We'll uncover the secrets, the techniques, and the genius that allowed Native Americans to live, sleep, and thrive despite one of nature's tiniest, most persistent predators. Welcome to a journey into Native American mosquito warfare and survival mastery. Mosquito nights and native ingenuity. While you're spraying bug spray and hiding in tents, Native Americans slept peacefully outdoors for centuries, completely unbothered by mosquito swarms that would drive you insane within minutes. Sleep was never easy when tiny vampires ruled the night. Across North America, millions of mosquitoes swarmed through forests, swamps, and plains, turning peaceful evenings into buzzing nightmares. Native American tribes faced this challenge every single night for hundreds of years. These weren't just annoying little pests, either. Mosquitoes could make life absolutely miserable. While we complain about a few bites during camping trips, imagine dealing with clouds of them every night without any modern protection. No bug spray, no screen tents, no air-conditioned bedrooms to escape to. Most tribes slept on open ground or in basic shelters that offered little protection from flying insects. Some had bark houses or hide teepees, but these weren't sealed fortresses. Air flowed freely through most traditional dwellings, which meant mosquitoes could follow right along. The bugs treated these shelters like an all-you-can-bite buffet. Then European contact made everything worse. Ships brought new diseases like malaria and yellow fever, turning mosquito bites from annoying to potentially deadly. What had been a comfort problem suddenly became a survival issue. Bites that once just itched could now kill. But here's the thing about sleep disruption. It doesn't just make you grumpy the next day. Native Americans needed deep restorative rest to handle incredibly demanding physical work, hunting massive buffalo, farming without modern tools, traveling hundreds of miles on foot, building entire villages by hand. Poor sleep meant poor performance, and poor performance could mean starvation. The mosquito problem wasn't uniform across the continent either. Tribes in the humid southeast faced different challenges than those in the dry southwest. Great Lakes communities dealt with swarms during wild rice season, while Gulf Coast groups battled year-round populations. Desert tribes had fewer mosquitoes but concentrated breeding areas that created seasonal nightmares. Each environment demanded unique solutions. What worked for the Seoul and Florida swamps wouldn't help the Lakota on windy plains. Coastal tribes faced salt marsh mosquitoes. Mountain peoples dealt with alpine varieties, and everyone had to adapt their methods accordingly. Smoke, smudges, and strategic fires. The weird part is that Native Americans couldn't just pack up and move to mosquito-free zones. Their entire way of life was tied to specific landscapes, sacred sites, seasonal food sources, trading routes, ancestral territories. They had to figure out how to coexist with these blood-sucking neighbors. Well, coexist might be too generous. Native Americans developed an entire arsenal of anti-mosquito warfare techniques that would make modern pest control companies jealous. The oldest weapon in this battle, smoke that could turn any campsite into a mosquito-free sanctuary. When you can't build walls, you build clouds. Native American tribes discovered that mosquitoes absolutely hate thick, choking smoke, and they turned this weakness into their greatest nighttime weapon. The Ojibwe people became masters of what they called smudges. These weren't your typical campfires. They'd gather damp leaves, wet grass, and green sticks, then set them smoldering for hours. The trick wasn't creating bright flames. It was producing the thickest, most persistent smoke possible. Think of it as nature's first bug zapper, except instead of electricity, it used good old-fashioned suffocation. But here's where it gets clever. These smudge fires weren't just random smoke machines. Tribes positioned them strategically around sleeping areas, creating invisible barriers that mosquitoes simply refused to cross. The smoke had to be thick enough to repel insects, but thin enough that people could still breathe. Getting that balance right took generations of practice. The Monomin tribe stumbled onto something brilliant during their wild rice harvests. They'd build massive drying fires to process their grain and noticed something incredible: hardly any mosquito bites during those smoky summer nights. What started as food preparation became double-duty pest control. Smart, right? Plant power and herbal protection. Then there's the plant selection. This wasn't just any random vegetation tossed into the fire. Experienced tribal members knew exactly which plants packed the most mosquito-repelling punch. Cedar bark produced oils that insects despised. Certain grasses released compounds that confused mosquito senses. Sweet-smelling sage didn't just smell good to humans, it smelled terrible to bugs. The weird part is how they kept these fires burning all night without constant attention. They'd layer damp materials in specific ways, creating slow-burning smolders that lasted 6 to 8 hours. No midnight fire maintenance required. The smoke would drift across sleeping areas like a protective blanket, keeping families bite-free until dawn. Some tribes even created portable smudge pots, small containers filled with smoldering materials that could be carried to new campsites. Instant mosquito protection wherever they traveled. The morning routine was simple: splash water on the coals, kick dirt over the ashes, and wake up refreshed instead of covered in itchy welts. No complicated cleanup, no expensive equipment, just smoke, time, and knowledge passed down through countless generations. Mud armor and natural cooling. But smoke wasn't the only armor these ingenious people developed against their buzzing enemies. Sometimes the most effective protection came from materials that were literally right under their feet, waiting to be discovered in the muddy banks of rivers and lakes. Smoke worked great, but what if you didn't have dry wood? What if the wind kept blowing your carefully built smudge fire in the wrong direction? Native Americans had backup plans. One of the most ingenious was literally right under their feet. Mud became living armor against mosquitoes. Think about it, these insects need to pierce your skin with their needle-like mouths. Cover that skin with a thick layer of dried mud and suddenly their job gets a lot harder. It's like trying to bite through leather. Some tribes turned mud application into an art form. They'd scoop up clay-rich soil from river banks, mix it with water until it reached the perfect consistency, then smear it across exposed skin before bedtime. The process was surprisingly fast. A family could coat themselves in minutes. Mud wasn't just a physical barrier, it was also air conditioning. When water in the mud evaporated, it cooled the skin underneath. During sweltering summer nights, this double benefit made sleeping outdoors actually comfortable. Animal fat armor. But what about tribes and areas where good mud was scarce? Native Americans along the Gulf Coast had another trick up their sleeves. Actually, they had it all over their skin. Animal fat became their go-to mosquito armor. Not just any fat, mind you. We're talking about rancid alligator grease, spoiled fish oils, and other delightfully smelly animal fats that would make a modern person gag. But here's the thing, mosquitoes absolutely hated it. Early European explorers wrote about entire families slathered in this greasy coating from head to toe. One Spanish conquistador described Native American children as glistening like seals before bedtime. Adults would carefully rub the fat into every exposed patch of skin, creating a slippery barrier that mosquitoes couldn't penetrate. Why did this work so well? Turns out mosquitoes rely heavily on their sense of smell to find victims. They're attracted to the carbon dioxide we breathe out, plus specific scents from our skin. When you coat yourself in rancid animal fat, you're basically wearing an olfactory disguise. The mosquitoes can't detect your natural human smell through all that grease. Morning cleanup involved scraping off the hardened fat and washing in nearby water sources. This became such a routine that children learned to apply their own protective coating by age 5 or 6. Nature's army: dragonflies, bats, and birds. While smoke screens, mud coats, and greasy armor worked great, Native Americans understood something modern pest control often forgets: nature fights itself. Instead of trying to swat every mosquito one by one, they learned to recruit nature's own soldiers. Their first ally: dragonflies. Known as mosquito hawks, these aerial hunters can eat hundreds of mosquitoes a day. Tribes noticed that camps surrounded by flowering plants had fewer mosquitoes, because flowers attracted dragonflies. Some tribes intentionally planted bright, sweet-smelling flowers near their camps. The blooms drew dragonflies in, and those dragonflies turned the skies into buzzing battlefields, mosquito massacre style. But the night shift belonged to another ally: bats. Right as mosquitoes came out at dusk, bats began their hunt. A single bat can eat over 1,000 mosquitoes an hour. Native Americans quickly realized this was no coincidence. They never disturbed bat roosts near their homes or sleeping areas, because those bats were their nighttime guardians. Then came the birds. Purple martins, swallows, and other insect-eating species got VIP treatment from many tribes. Harming or scaring these birds meant losing some of their best mosquito control partners. The timing was perfect. Birds handled the day shift, bats handled the night shift. Nature ran a 24-hour pest patrol. But Native Americans didn't stop there. They actively managed the land to keep this natural balance working smoothly. They learned that if you drain too much swamp water, you might kill mosquito larvae, but you'd also destroy dragonfly breeding grounds and the food supply for the birds. And there you have it, centuries of wisdom, passed down through generations, showing us that survival isn't just about fighting nature, it's about understanding it, respecting it, and working with it. From smoke and mud to plants and animals, Native Americans mastered the art of living in harmony with the land, and thriving even in the face of relentless mosquitoes. If you've enjoyed this journey into history, ingenuity, and survival, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss an adventure like this. Your support helps us bring these incredible stories to life.